welcome to this Wheelchair Rugby League World Cup first round review. I'm your host, Super Saiyan Blue Lucario, so grab a cup of tea and join me as we dive into the first round of group games. First, Group A, England versus Australia. It was a breakneck start to this contest, with a flying hit from the kickoff to get the game up and running, and it was end-to-end stuff. England created a number of chances, but handling errors were letting them down on the final pass, scores remaining level. And Australia were really taking it to them. They were causing a few problems of their own, flying into the tackles, and getting some good ball movement going on. They got a deserved score from Kareem to take the lead, as a kick wasn't dealt with, and Kareem was on site to pounce on the loose ball to put down. Cue the introduction of Jack Brown and Nathan Collins for England, and all of a sudden, the English began to click. Coyd crossing twice, Jack Brown and Collins all scoring some superb scores to give England a comfortable lead into the break. A little more composure was needed for the second half for England, but Australia's physical style certainly gave them pause for thought. The second half began just like the first, England getting to good areas, but the last pass letting them down, before Australia found themselves hard done by as they were judged to have made a forward pass when they crossed over to score themselves. England's response was instant, with a fluid move to send Ryan King in at the corner. Australia, though, kept being physical. They kept getting up in England's faces, especially Bailey McKenna, to try and disrupt the England flow. But the English responded in kind, showing they could match them. With big hit after big hit, impact was great in front of a record international wheelchair rugby league crowd of over 3,000, which is really, really impressive. Both sides traded opportunities as the game began to break down and settle. Hawkins thought he had another, but was tackled just before he grounded the ball. Defenses were certainly on top in the second half in a very high-quality game. Nathan Collins did eventually break through to wrap up the win before a late McKenna penalty gave Australia the final say in the game. All over social media, this game got everyone talking, and it was universally positive reaction for Wheelchair Rugby League. The people who've been talking about this, trying to big this up, they know what they're talking about. And hey, I didn't know much about the games going into this one, watching it, and safe to say I'm hooked. The player of the match for me was Jack Brown for England, a superb performance, and he really turned the game on its head after he came on off the bench in England's favour. Up next, Ireland versus Spain. Now, I thought Spain might go into this cold, which could be where Ireland might catch them. And poor discipline from the start from the Spaniards with back-to-back penalties saw Ireland take an early lead in the corner through Roberts. However, a mistake straight from the restart allowed Spain to easily cross over with their first real attack, and the danger signs began to blare out for Ireland. The Spanish began to find their groove, and Theo Gonzalez ran the show, accelerating very quickly before a great offload sent Lacombe tearing down the left touchline to score in the corner, and from then, it was all Spain. Ireland couldn't live with the speed of the Spanish attack, which was ruthless. Score from Bertie made it 18-4, and it was just almost too easy. Ireland did eventually settle into the game and began to contain the Spanish side, but Gonzalez causing problems every time he got the ball. Ireland were always on the back foot, and after a 10-minute spell of back-and-forth action, Spain were in a game through Gonzalez and Bertie to take it to 30 points to 4. Johnston managed to evade defenders to bring Ireland some hope at 30 points to 10 at half-time, though, but a big effort was needed in the second half. The Spanish started the second half really fast. Another weaving movement from Gonzalez sent Bertie in for his hat-trick. However, they failed to deal with a restart, the ball bouncing around before Johnston pounced on a loose pass to reduce the arrears further. Ireland forced Spain out of the field close to their line, and with a super offload from Roberts, Johnston completed his hat-trick, and all of a sudden, it really was game on. Back and forth action, both sides tried to find that killer edge, but it was Monedero try from Spain that seemed to secure the win. Martin added a further score for Spain with 15 minutes to go, but Ireland kept battling away. A lovely passing play sent Forbes in at the corner before Gonzalez brought up 50 for Spain with a great solo effort before a drop goal that added effect. Johnston added a late consolation, but the game was Spain's, who looked very impressive, and now the group really is wide open as far as the semi-finals are concerned. Player of the match, Theo Gonzalez. Without him, it might have been an even showdown, but his introduction and clever play caused the Irish nightmares. They couldn't deal with his acceleration off the mark. Now, Group B, and what I thought might be the clash of the Titans, as reigning champions France took on Wales. The champions got off to the perfect start. Quick hands finding Al-Azhar in space, who raced away for a try in only the first minute. A neat kick behind the defence saw the French in straight away again before Al-Azhar added a second. 6 minutes gone, 18-0 down. The Welsh did settle things a little bit after that, finally getting their hands on possession, but couldn't find a way through despite good pressure on the French line. Straight from the turnover, a kick over the top from the French, and they burst through again for a fourth try. The Welsh errors were really hurting them. Mistakes were giving the French good territory, and Al-Azhar completed his hat-trick in only 15 minutes at 30-0. And more missed tackles, and Gutadoro then crossed. What I thought would be a close contest turned into a masterclass from the champions. Borsan with 2 tries, Penea, Al-Azhar with another 2, and 66-0 in 26 minutes. It was in danger of being a very big 3-figure score. A rare mistake, though, from France led to Wales finally scoring with some great passing play to see Jones in at the corner so that they could salvage some pride. And they began to rally a little off the back of it, created a couple of chances, but Borsan scored again off a breakaway to make it 72-6, 5 minutes before half-time. Abassi, Hivenat, and Penea all then scored before the break, and it was then 96-6 at the break. The second half began as the first ended. A quick score from Abassi brought up triple figures before Borsan scored minutes later. Al-Azhar came on back off the bench to set a new record for points scored by an individual with another try of his own. The Welsh did improve defensively as time went on, and it was a much better second half. They certainly can take a lot more pride in the performance there, while France were trying some more unorthodox plays, experimenting with set pieces, and trying things that they wouldn't normally get the opportunity to in games with the lead just so outrageous. There were more scores to come, including a sensational catch from a crossfield kick to the corner, one that you'd be impressed with in the running game, let alone the wheelchair game, before ultimately running out 158-6 winners. The player match for me is Al-Azhar. Every one of the French players today were world class. But you can't look past the guy setting a new world record for most points in a wheelchair international game for this one. Next, USA versus Scotland. The US were making their debut, and a perfect opponent for game 1 in a Scotland side low on confidence. And they got off to the perfect start, getting the ball back from a short kick-off before crashing over and taking the post down with them, as Johnson got the first on the board. Scotland then dropped the ball while trying to claim it back from the kickoff, and Johnson raced away down the touchline to extend the USA lead, 2 tries in the opening 3 minutes. Scotland got the ball at last after an American mistake, and with quick hands sent Callum Young over out wide to reduce their arrears, but were unable to convert. The Scots looked good in attack, just overrunning a few passes. They nearly scored again out wide as they were really seeing a lot of joy down the US left edge, who were showing their inexperience with the penalties given away, giving Scotland good field position. Eventually made it pay as Young crossed again from swift hands after a double tag tackle penalty. The pressure began to build, and after forcing the US out of play deep in their own half, Young completed his hat-trick, again after quick hands to the right edge, and Scotland had the lead at 14-12. The US, though, got possession back after a very soft mistake with ball in hand and flew down the field, with Wolof evading all the tackles to crash over, retaking the lead at 18-14, which lasted seconds. Scotland got the ball straight from the restart, and Grant crashed over under the post. 2018 in 22 minutes. A mistake deep in their own half again from the US, and quick hands to the left edge saw Blackmore cross over. But a loose pass saw the US got the ball in good area, and Johnson completed his hat-trick with a great finish out wide. The conversion is successful, and the scores were level at 24 each. Wolof then scored after sustained pressure, and the US were now back in front again. He evaded tackles with some really good shoulder movement. Lind crossed out wide to extend the lead after a brilliant offload from Wolof to extend the lead at 34-24. The US, they then found themselves very hard done by, adjudged to knock on after a kick with a great chase, but did get a score from Lint on the stroke of half-time after a superb one-handed catch from a high kick, giving the US a 38-24 lead at the break. The second half started real fast, and Williams scored to bring Scotland right back into it. But a knock-on close to their own line after the restart, the US made them pay. Johnson again, a neat kick behind the defence, and Townsend crossed over to give the US some real breathing space. The Scots didn't go away though. Some good offloading skills down the left-hand side saw Mellon go close to the line. But from the play of the ball, they had enough now to send Grant in under the post. The gap was only 12 points again. A drop goal from Grant reduced it to an under 2 converted tries difference, but Scotland again will rue the mistakes. Too many mistakes in their own half just as they were starting to build momentum, and Townsend crossed again, and the US brought up 50 points. Then we had a patchy period of a lot of mistakes from both sides, which against better teams will be crucial. They need to cut out these kind of mistakes if they're going to challenge either of the other sides in the group. A carbon copy score of the US previous try was then scored again from Townsend. A kick over the top, Townsend first to reach the ball. The Scots, though, got the ball back again from the restart, and a sublime no-look pass sent Young in again. And the Scots started to look like they had belief. It started to look like they might just still get something from the game. But all resistance was snuffed out. The US made an interception off a loose pass from Scotland, which, I'm not going to lie here, I was very annoyed at this one, as the US clearly knocked on. But this was missed by not only the commentators and the referees. There's no video refs in wheelchair rugby, and decisions have to be spot on. It was a bad error, a very bad error. Scotland should have got the ball back here, but instead, US get a try, and that just killed off the Scots' fight back. The player of the match after the US winning their very first game in the World Cup was Wolof. He was part of everything good that the US did. He led from the front the entire way, spurring them on. And anytime they looked tired, his wisdom, his leadership really did drive the US forward. So what does that mean in the groups? Well, England narrowly topped the group on points difference above Spain, both winners in round 1. And the two of them meet each other in game 2. With a lot riding on this, a semi-final place at stake. And if this ends up with a win for Spain, it's all on. He looked very impressive, and I think if Theo Gonzalez plays like he did against Ireland, Spain can cause some real issues for England, who looked equally impressive against Australia. Australia take on Ireland in the other game, and I think with the physicality of the Australians, and at times, some good play from Irish in their game against Spain, both sides will have a lot of positives going into it, and both know that a defeat here will see their tournament over. It should be a very entertaining fixture, this one I'm very much looking forward to. Over in Group B, France very clearly out front on top with points difference tally. They're taking on Scotland, and it doesn't get easier for the Scots. They have the biggest challenge in the World Cup. They'll be feeling down after their defeat to the US, but there's still room for positive. With ball in hand, when it stuck, looked very good. They just need to cut out the errors because the French will punish every single one. They can keep up with the speed, though, which is what Welsh struggle to do in their game. I just fear it could be another massive scoreline from the French. Meanwhile, Wales take on the US. The US will be confident after their win over Scotland, but the Welsh are a much better side. And I think this one is where the Welsh will get their tournament underway. Might be a closer game than I initially predicted, but I do expect a comfortable Welsh win on that one. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Which game did you enjoy the most? Who do you think will come out on top in the end? And what are your thoughts for round 2? Which players impressed you most? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, it's time for me to have a cup at sea.